Hello. If you watch my shorts, you know I simp for Nekomata. I like Lucy, I like Koleda, but I want to be clear. This is a miHoYo versus game, meaning that depending on the team developing, there are one of two things that can happen. First off, if it's the Genshin team, you're not getting endgame. In fact, you're not even getting power creep. You're getting units that are better, maybe, possibly, in certain situations. And if that's the case, you don't need to worry about investing into constellations unless you absolutely adore units. But if it's the HSR team, then you might have a different story with that. Regardless of the circumstance, regardless of the strength of a unit, I want to be clear that I think wholeheartedly you should just invest within units you like. Whether you love someone's design, their personality, their wallpaper, it doesn't matter. Build the units that you simp for. Build the units that you're attached to. This could be their stories, either agent stories or the dynamic event stories that you've seen occur around you. This could be their gameplay. Yes, Nekomata's cute. I adore this character. I am heavily investing into this girl, and wholeheartedly, I want that Cinema 6, but she's a character I legitimately like, and I like the voice acting. And so as a result, I'm going to invest into her. I will wholeheartedly put a bunch of resources unnecessarily into this girl. Same thing will go for Koleda and Lucy. Soukaku, too, once I actually, get an ice character who can utilize her. But beyond that, I think that for the vast majority of you who maybe aren't used to this channel, just invest into the unit that you like. It doesn't have to be a girl. It can be a guy. It doesn't have to be a DPS. It can be a support. It doesn't matter. In fact, I wholeheartedly recommend pulling for supportive units. If somebody is a buffer, pull for them. In Genshin and in HSR, buffers are usually the most, viable units long term because they hold significant value. There are two ways. Either they are a buffer within the stats they give you, such as Lucy giving attack and crit damage, or it's somebody who's defensive. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what the hell this guy does. I don't know what Ben Bigger does. I have never used Ben Bigger. He is not having his constellations activated. This man is staying here because I don't care too much for the design. But for a lot of these units, either A, you like them, or B, if you like the role they occupy, investing into them isn't a mistake. Yes, 5 stars will usually be better than them at certain levels, or especially at higher investments like constellations or weapons, whatever. But they are still safer investments than going for a DPS. Corrin will lose value if you get a 5-star character who does damage and instead of the physical element that is just better than her. The same thing will occur for Piper. The same thing will occur for Nekomata even because she's standard. And yes, we have some standards that have good longevity in other games, but still, she's standard. They're not going to necessarily keep her on par with a limited character. I'm going to look at HSR with Clara and Yunli. But if you don't mind this character, there are other ways to get around that. Hypothetically speaking, let's say you love somebody like Soldier 11 and you want to invest into her. Well, then for you, the best thing for you to do would be to wait for a support, a 5-star or a 4-star support that supports fire units. That would really help out Soldier 11's damage. Because yes, your DPS lives and dies by the amount of damage they do. But inherently, there are two things more valuable than your base damage. First off, what sort of stats do you have? Are you a character who gives themselves a bunch of crit rate, crit damage, and attack percentage? In that case, in HSR, it would be you. Because if that is the position you're in, then you kind of have to worry about, hey, will this character scale well with buffs? But if it's somebody who has just high multipliers, but not high base stats, you can buff them up pretty well. The second thing here is, hey, how flexible are they? If you're looking at a character's kit, and more specifically their skills, and you're wondering, okay, is this passive skill really worth using? Hypothetically, in Nekomata's case, I'm dealing additional damage to her skill. That's nice, sure, after somebody inflicts assault. Ideally, I would pair her with somebody who can inflict assault, that way I can use the Fang Metal set, but if I'm not using that set and don't care too much, this isn't that much of a damage loss in comparison to this. But if I'm looking at other units who are much more flexible, Koleda doesn't care as much. Your Lucy, 9 times out of 10, does not have enough crit for that transfer to matter. So you can ignore that unless you have a C6 Lucy or she's crowned or whatever, because then you might build crit rate on her. What I'm trying to get at is, supports hold significant longevity in every single first game. Build the ones you like. If you love Lucy, build her. Because even if she is a 4-star, even if she is standard, yes, she's very likely to get power creep, I'm not gonna lie. Even in Genshin, the only standard option we had was Bennett, and ever since then, they just been releasing okay supports. Lucy will not hold, that top tier slot for long. And Soukaku will give higher base attack, don't get me wrong. But if you like these characters, invest into them. There are a bunch of units that buff in HSR that I just don't like the design of. There are a bunch of units that I hate in HSR who are DPSs. At the end of the day, this is a gacha game. Your experience is entirely going to be dictated by two things. First off, do you wail or not? And second off, how are you deciding to play the game? If you're going for meta, by all means, good luck with that. But keep in mind, that's probably going to be a very slippery slope to go down because we're still at the launch of the game, and Ellen, Juyeon, Lycan are all extremely good characters, but these are the first few characters, with Ellen and Juyeon being characters who are essentially limited, and they're the launch characters. That means they're either going to do really well or really poorly, and based on HSR and Genshin's case, it's probably going to be the latter. If you're pulling for waifu, then enjoy the game. Once you have your base team set up, whether that's, hey, you like Ellen and you're slotting her alongside a character like Lycan and a character like Soukaku, and you love those three, good, you're set. All you need to do is invest into them. And if you like Soukaku enough to say you're not replacing her, just wait for a 5-star weapon or W engine that works with her, get that, and she's set. For Lycan, you could realistically hold off. Once you get his weapon, or if you don't get his weapon, you can just buy it from the shop eventually, because you're going to be pulling it additionally over time anyway. If you like Ellen and maybe by the time her reruns come around and you haven't found into the character you love, just pull for additional copies of her. For me, I'm going to find a second DPS I like. I hate Soldier 11's design, and her wallpaper isn't even in the game, so I can't even pretend like that's good. But I like Nekomata. And so ideally, if I'm pulling for a new DPS in the future, I'm going all in on them. If I lose the 50-50, I want it to be to her or Koleda. And then with the shop currency, if I'm not buying pulls, I'm buying additional copies of her weapon. Or I'm waiting for a new weapon that comes out that's better than this one. But for me, I have found that with miHoYo games, it is far better to invest into characters you like than to invest into characters who are strong, because they may just be strong now and bad later, or they may be inflexible. Also, if you're below AR 40, you can get like a base set running for characters. My main priority would be their skills. Specifically, you want to go for the vast majority of DPSs, basic attack, assist, if there's someone who's swapping in. If they're not someone who's swapping in, you want to go basic attack, skill, burst. That's it. If you're using Nekomata, you do want to upgrade her dodge skill, because her counter is specifically going to be something you're using a lot to obtain her buff. If it's anyone else, you can ignore it. If it's your stun unit, you're primarily going to be focusing on that skill and that ultimate, because it's a chain attack. Everything else is kind of meh. In Koleda's case, I can kind of see a point for going for that basic, because you are basicing a little bit, but not enough for me to really say hyper invest. And for your supports, if it's somebody like Lucy, you are going strictly for that special attack. If it is Soukaku, you are ignoring everything and just going straight for her core skills. But you can always do a chain attack level up, because that does benefit everybody universally. Either way though, have fun. I think that ZZ as a miHoYoverse game is going to deal with a lot of people saying it's bad, it's boring, like HSR, it's not going to perform well, WW's better, whatever. If you're having fun, have fun with the damn game. Content creators have one of two modes. Either they're going to follow what the community feels, and more specifically what their community feels, and more specifically what their viewership tells them, or B, whatever drama's looking good today. Because hey, once content runs out, drama is always a good source. So just ignore that. Have fun with the damn game. I'm having fun with this. I'm playing other gachas on the side. Maybe I will cover them, maybe I won't. But at the end of the day, as long as you are enjoying your experience and you are building the characters you are, and you are happy with your overall account, that's all that fucking matters. You don't need to worry about Shiyu defense right now. You're early game. You're not end game. And if you can't clear Shiyu defense, you can't clear Shiyu defense. Don't go pulling for a character like Juyeon because you cannot clear Shiyu defense. Go for Juyeon because you like Juyeon or her gameplay or her design. Because meta will change. You don't even want to get a character like Juyeon if you hate her already, or dislike her, or just are okay on her. And then for the next patch or the patch after to feature a character you legitimately want and don't have to pause for. That's just my opinion. Tell me yours. Either way, I'll see you next time. Play Blue Archive if you have the time, and goodbye.